Hey guys, my name's Tom. I'm going to give you a tutorial on putting in the windshield on an e-body convertible. First about the car. It's a 1970 Dodge Challenger. It is a real Panther Pink car, FM3. White interior, white top convertible. I think only about 15 made for domestic use in 1970. I was lucky enough to get the car from the second owner. It was painted maroon around 1980, and it was a poor paint job, so I had to do a color change on it. And low miles, 74,000, so even with those miles, drivetrain's tired, so that's out getting rebuilt. So I'm doing a nice restoration on this car. Hopefully my wife will be able to take it to car shows with me when I bring my CUDA. I don't know if anybody noticed, these aren't moving blankets on top of the car. This is a blanket made by Bob's Original. It's real soft, and it kind of sits on top of the whole fenders and surrounds the engine compartment for when you're restoring a car, so it doesn't scratch anything. The body and paint on this car was done by Mid-Atlantic Customs down in Maryland, and they do a great job, and I'm very happy with it so far. So what do you want to make sure when you do your windshield is the windshield frame itself, this channel, is totally clean, rust-free. Replace any rust. Make sure you're down to clean bare metal, and your body guy will skim coat and paint when he does the car, so you'll have a perfectly clean slate in the color of the car, and it'll be level, and your windshield will sit properly, and you won't have a chance of it cracking or leaking. All right. What I do is, and I'm going to tell you about some things I do previous to the windshield. Some need to be done first. Some are good to do first because it's easier. And some you want to do so you don't just scratch the glass when you're doing them later. So when I get the car back from the shop and the windshield frame is totally bare and painted, I put in the receivers first for the convertible top pins. So they just sit in one each side and they screw in. Then I go to the rear view mirror, and the rear view mirror bracket, the metal bracket, screws into the bottom of the windshield frame, and then screw in your post only for the rear view mirror and set that to the desired tension on how you want to push it back and forth. Then I go to the moldings, and I do the interior black molding first, and I take this long piece because it has two tangs left and right that sit under the corner pieces. So screw your long piece in. It's just screws that go into the bottom of the frame. As long as you locate your screws, there's screw holes. There's no screwing up exactly where it should go. Then what I do is I put in my A-pillar plastic moldings, because the corner pieces, the metal corner piece, it will sit over the long piece and slide on top of this plastic A-pillar molding. So again, two screws for the A-pillar molding, and that's self-locating. Then put in your corner pieces and screw them in. And then your sun visors, also make sure the sun visor arm tension's where you want it by tightening your nuts first. Then you could sit them in, one on each side, and they get screwed in, 3 screws on each. So basically, that has your rear view mirror, your sun visors, and all your black molding in. Then I go to this piece of weather stripping. This just sits in the channel, so you can see the channel. So that channel just gets screwed in. So you'll notice that goes over the black corner piece. So you screw that in to the A-pillar, and then just push your molding back into the channels. And then that weather strip has one screw on the bottom where it goes into the frame. Then we move to the outside chrome. So the outside stainless, what you need to do is the very inside windshield molding and the bottom long strip and the 2 bottom corners, they're going to stay off until after the windshield is installed. But this goes on first, and one good reason to put it on first is there's slots that actually locate where your windshield clips go on all these moldings. Hard to see now because I already painted everything black, but you want to make sure that your molding will fit in, and these clips slit in the go where the cutouts are on the molding. So the other reason this molding goes on first is these side moldings are held on. They kind of push on and they'll stay on, but there's one screw that needs to be screwed in, and that comes from the side, so you can't do that with the windshield in. And then this is the question most people ask. This molding's confusing. It's got a teardrop section that stays down to the bottom, and then how you put this on is there's a flange that runs on the metal frame top to bottom. This wraps under the flange, and then you pull it around and kind of push it down, and it'll kind of snap into place. From then you'll notice that these long pieces slide into that pillar, and the driver's side slides into the passenger side of the long piece, and they just get screwed down with shoulder screws so that you can't screw them tight enough where you have a huge dimple there. Okay, and also what I should say is really before you do any of that, and you notice I have it in, is your dash assembly should be in. That's really number one. Put that in first, because there's two bolts that are on the bottom that it sits in, so you could swivel that whole dash assembly into place, one on each side. But then there's 4 small screws that sit kind of inside where the openings are for the defrost, and they're a bugger to get to when the windshield's in. I think you could do it if you had the flexible extension for your socket set, but it's tough, so better to do it now. So again, dash assembly in, receivers in for the pins, rear view mirror post and bracket in, long piece of black molding, A-pillar moldings, then the corners, black corners, windshield, weather stripping channel, weather stripping, side molding left and right, and your header moldings. Once all that's in, what I do then is I just take a small piece of sandpaper and rough up this part of the frame that's still metal, because that's where your butyl strip is going to go, your adhesive strip. And you want to rough that up, and you're going to put some pinch weld primer on for butyl tape. So I'll show you all the materials that are going to be necessary. And then also to mention is anything left that you can see pink, you're going to see it when the windshield's in and it's going to jump out at you, or any body color. So basically you want to take some, black primer or black paint, flat, and, paint it. But what I do is basically the butyl primer is a flat black. So you'll brush that in. It has its own brush that sits in the can. And that basically blacks out everything. Okay. All right, we'll go over what you need. So basically I got 2 suction cups. They're from Harbor Freight, but I've had them for years. They work fine. 110-pound capacity each. I use 2. And that gives you, 220-pound capacity. But basically the windshield weighs about 30 pounds, so there's no issues with that. Caulk gun, some black sealant. Here's your pinch weld primer for butyl tape. And then here's your butyl tape. I used the window weld ribbon sealer auto glass replacement kit. So it's 5/16 inch thick, 15 foot long. It is part number 08611, and I've used that for 6 convertible windshields over the years. The windshield itself, I started getting them from Auto City Classic. $300 shipped, and it came in a nice big box, and it's in nice shape, no issues. Some black caulk sealant, black sealant, caulk gun. This is the protector that came around the windshield. It sits all the way around the windshield when they ship it. But what I found very cool about this is there's a leading edge on your convertible top frame that has 2 corner pieces and 1 long piece, and sometimes they go missing, at least the corner pieces. So I'm going to show you on my other convertible. I used this to replace those pieces. So this is my CUDA convertible, and again, what I replaced is, I know it's hard to see, but there's this piece here that's just rubber, and it runs across into the other side. And if any of that's missing, like I say, I found that this protector that's on the windshield really is used nicely to do that. So I did unpack my windshield, and I had it wrapped in the, after I made sure there was no cracks in it, I made sure that I kept it wrapped in bubble wrap again, but I just took it out again, just so that I could lay it somewhere and get my suction cups on it when it's time. You notice I put my 2 sawhorses out so that I don't accidentally step on it, because it is pretty clear, and believe me, I know this kind of stuff happens. Okay, so after you get all your moldings on, you do want to screw in your windshield clips. A lot of times they're skimmed over, so you're going to have to drill. And then it's 3 on each side, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across the top. Okay, and you screw in those clips so that when you put in your final molding, it'll push between the A-pillar molding and the clip, and it'll lock it in place. I also take my sealant, and anywhere where you have a nice gap, you want to put a little bit of sealer in. This is still a little shiny because it's not quite dry, but I don't like to see any gaps. I don't want to see any pink. So I even did it on the driver's side A-pillar where it meets the dash frame. There was just a little space there, so I put a little bit of black caulk. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to put a lot of padding on top of the car with moving blankets. Again, I don't want the moving blankets on the paint. It'll act like sandpaper, but I will put them, if you move them around, but I will pull them on top of this fender cover that's nice and soft. And what I'm going to do is get the windshield up there with the suction cups on it. And we want to do a trial fit into the opening to make sure everything fits into the opening before we put any butyl tape down. Okay, so we want to test this windshield in the frame without the butyl tape, to make sure that it fits in there nicely. So you notice I put my suction cups on the glass, and I laid my glass on the car with plenty of padding, moving blankets. Because it's convertible, it's easy enough to do by yourself. Stand in the car and reach over the frame. What you want to do is make sure that it sits securely everywhere without a lot of flex, and it's sitting in the channel. There'll be a certain amount of cushion in the butyl tape too. Okay, now inside the butyl tape box, there's 2 small blocks that will sit in the right and left on a little dip in the channel, and that'll actually bring it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get them blocks in there and raise it up a little bit. Then I'm going to add a piece of tape on the windshield and on the frame. And I'm going to get my windshield left and right where I want it and mark it with magic marker on the tape that's on the windshield, lining up with the tape on the bottom frame. That way, when I'm ready to set it in after the butyl tape's down, I'll be able to line it left and right, grab the tape on the bottom and lean it in. Because once it touches that tape, it's not moving left or right. Okay, so the small rubber blocks, which I remember usually fit right into this little hollow, they're pretty skinny. They do have a groove in them too that the windshield sits in. But I have to actually on this one push them in on the higher part of the channel to get the glass to sit evenly both top and bottom. Okay, so I put my tape on the windshield, my tape on the frame. I put some lining marks with Sharpie marker. That'll align me left and right. And then again, we have these little blocks with the grooves, one on each side. That'll align me top and bottom. So I'm going to take the windshield out again and lay it across my hood hinges. And I'm going to lay my butyl tape around. You'll notice the butyl tape is just in a roll. It's 15 foot long, and it has a sticky back. And I'm going to push it into the molding, push it into the channel. And since I already used the pinch weld primer around the channel and it's dry, that'll be good to take the adhesive. Okay, so I laid in my ribbon sealer. It is round, but I lay it in and push down slightly on it to make sure it sticks to the frame, because you don't want it to roll out after you get your windshield placed. Keep your blocks in place, because you're going to sit that windshield on each block left and right to center up and down. And remember, we have our piece of tape here where it's going to tell us left and right. So I'm ready to place the windshield in. Okay, remember also to clean your glass edge thoroughly. It's pretty clean to come from the factory, but clean your glass edges. Make sure your suction cups are secured. Make sure you see your centering line. Your blocks are in place. The window ribbon sealer is secured. Okay, we're centered, and we're on our blocks. And it's sitting nicely so that the ribbon sealer is hitting every part of the windshield. If not, we could take a little putty knife and push it up under a little bit. So right now, that's what we're going to do, just to make sure. Right here in the corner here, I want to make sure. Push it up in a little bit. There we go. Looking good. Definitely in. In. Good there. So now I'm going to go around the perimeter of the windshield and push very hard to make sure it sets in place. And you can see it actually contacting the ribbon. Push the ribbon on block. take our centering tape off. And it looks like it's contacting every part of this round sealer. So to release your cups, just pull the handle. I'll go around this about 1,000 times and to make sure it's in as far as it can be. And then we'll place our windshield trim, the top two pieces first. My trim's not ready to go on yet, I need to buff it, so that'll be another time. But one tip for putting the trim on is, you know, tape your glass perimeter so you don't scratch your glass. Tape your chrome perimeter on this piece, your stainless. And then put a piece of tape and mark, or at least mark on the masking tape where each clip is, because you'll see the clips now, but when you go to put your molding on, they'll be hidden. And you want to know where your clips are so that you can bang that molding down to make sure it definitely grabs that clip. Alright, so there you have it. Like I say, I'm going to push around that windshield a bunch to make sure we're totally seated. When the trim's on, if your window ribbon is a little wiggly, it isn't going to matter because you never see it. And that concludes the video. Looking pretty good so far. I think we're in good shape.